My name is Moses Powell. I've been studying jiu-jitsu for the last 20 years. I'm the master for Renda Visitashino. And at this particular time, I'm a senior master in the art of jiu-jitsu Te and jiu-jitsu Ryu.
.radio.net presents to you some of the most deadly jiu-jitsu masters in the world. Trained in the vicious urban inner-city street combat system of sanuces Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, this art was created by the legendary Dr. Moses Powell, the father of American contemporary jiu-jitsu and the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. This network brings together 4 radio shows 4 nights a week, starting with Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Each one teach one, with the Pia Master himself, Grandmaster Urban Muhammad, and his protege, Professor Terrence Hale. Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Modern Combat Masters, hosted by the inheritor of GM Billy Davis Jiu-Jitsu, guru of his own Filipino system, and sanuces master, Grandmaster Daryl Sargent, and his co-host, Sifu Reseda de Jesus. Thursday nights at 9 p.m. is Professor Tom Curry's radio talk show. A Kenpo master and professor of sanuces Ryu, 20 years law enforcement, senior tactical training instructor for intelligence retired, and author of the official sanuces Ryu Jiu-Jitsu testing and training curriculum. And Friday nights at 8 p.m. is Making the Connection, hosted by the president of DocRadio.net, Grandmaster in the art of sanuces Ryu and Soke of Kuroshi Kaikan martial arts system, and president of the Family of Sanuces organization, Soki Haisan Khalik, and his co-host, Shihan Farouk Gibbs. All of these shows can be linked to online by typing in docradio.net or listening live at the scheduled time by dialing 646-716-6825. DocRadio.net is also proud to present DocMagazine.net, the world's largest martial art magazine dedicated to Dr. Moses Powell, sanuces Ryu Eye-to-Eye Jiu-Jitsu, urban tactical street self-defense, and streetology. Please join our Facebook group by typing in docradio.net and follow us on Twitter by typing docradio.net. Thank you for your support, and in the words of Doc, eye to eye, heart to heart, to the wall and back, os.
Blog Talk Radio.
This is Fulkan Shabazz. You tune into DocRadio.net. Tuesday lineup, Grandmaster Chief Professor Shem Yehuda Shem, and Professor Yusuf Rahman of the Integrative Sanuces of the River That Never Ran Dry. Without any further ado, let me bring in Grandmaster. Us.
Assalamualaikum.
Professor?
Yes, Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir. Is Chief Professor on?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, he hasn't called in yet. How you been? How's this week been for you?
I'm okay. I was shocked to hear you. I thought you was. How you doing, Fulkan?
I'm good. I'm just trying to get this website up, man. This website should be up any day now. It's just that we were just having some technical difficulties with that. And but that's like the number one thing on my list is to be done with this site and launch it.
Yeah, I thought the site would be up. Probably you said a couple of days ago it was up by now. What happened?
Yeah, we're just having some technical. It's just not really technical, but the site is designed to be social media oriented. So it's not like just a regular site where you just click and get information. It's like it's a very unique concept. Like it's all interactive, you know. So the whole design of the site is to keep people connected to the shows, to keep connected to the different services offered on the site. So, you know, when you're developing that type of site, you know, sometimes you run into issues, you know, you gotta fix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, what was the topic tonight?
He didn't really tell me. let me go back off again to see and call people with something.
Okay. So until Professor returns, like I said, the site is coming out, anytime now. We're just fine-tuning the site. We have a lot of cool features in the site. It's going to be a lot of social media interactions, a lot of different forums, a lot of different community boards, a lot of different premium services that you could sign up. There'll actually be an online competition, and all this information will be released, the day of the launching of the website. So that's something to look forward to. Also, tomorrow we have Grandmaster Darryl Sargent's show, Modern Combat Masters, with his co-host Sifu Reseda. We also have the DMV Sanuces channel with She Hunter Richardson and Professor Lutz Penn. And then, of course, on Fridays we have Making a Connection with Sophie Hassan Khalid. So we definitely have a full lineup, every week for you. And then, of course, on Mondays we normally have the 15-minute announcements. But the 15-minute announcements has been postponed until we just get that site up, because the site is the number one priority right now. I think the professor just tuned back in.
Oh, yeah. Y'all, I called him. He said he's plugging in.
Okay, so I'll wait for him to call in. Definitely wait for him to call in. So let me ask you, Professor, when's the last time you've watched a tape of Doc?
Actually watched it? Maybe it's been maybe 2 or 3 months. I don't really watch the tape of Doc because I keep it up all night.
Right. Okay.
I watch it, and what happens is, you get the technique, and you go back to the laboratory, and you work with it, and then you see something you just found out, and then you work with that, and you be up all night. So I don't really have any use for it. So I try to keep my sleep.
Yes, I believe that, sir.
Oh yeah, we're going to welcome Chief Professor to the air. How you doing, Chief Professor?
I was in session. My apologies for being late. I was in session. It got away from me.
No problem.
So what was the subject there?
Well, we're just waiting for you. You tell us what is the topic tonight.
Oh, well, the topic was I was going to go into some more about that focuses beyond touch, and use a couple of the techniques in the system for an example. Cobra knuckle and reverse cobra knuckle. The integrity.
Hey, Grandmaster, before you actually go into that, I would like for you to tell the audience a little bit about who is I don't know if his title is Grandmaster, Professor, or Sensei, but who is Grandmaster Ed Pugh, and who is he, and what is the EP system, and how did he teach Sanuces rule, and what is his relationship with Sanuces rule? Just tell the audience a little bit, because I know you have history, and this is just something I always meant to actually get documented on tape, on the audio.
Okay. Grandmaster Pugh was one of Dr. Powell's first senior black belts. When I say senior, meaning an older group of guys, the Hustlers crew. Professor Pugh was older than Dr. Powell was, and there was a crew that they used to hang out together. They were called the Cowboys. They hung out on Nostrand Avenue at the what do they call it? The Legion Hall. The Legion Hall over there. All right. At any rate, Professor Pugh started teaching when he made brown belt. Okay, he had the idea to teach karate and jiu-jitsu as a combined course, as opposed to it being separated. Not so much as combined, but an individual having the tools from those different disciplines. So as they needed, they could evolve and cope with whatever situations that presented itself. All right. He would be the predecessor to what is known today as MMA, but it was not not taught as MMA is being taught today. We were taught how to do kicks from the ground, kicks from the floor, sweeping from the floor, sitting down. You ran the whole gamut, so this way, whatever situation that you wound up in, you were not perplexed or confused or didn't have an idea of what to do to get out of it so you could get home. When he taught the EP system was more of Shotokan, okay, with all the blocks and the kicks that went along with it, as well as teaching an individual how to be ambidextrous with their body, not just being one-sided. When it came time for the jiu-jitsu part, the karate part was done on the floor, the raw floor, you name it, whether they had tile on it, concrete, wood, dirt, you name it. That's what you was doing the EP on. When it came down time for the jiu-jitsu, that's when we broke out the mats. That was for some of us, that was a special time. The best time was the EP part of the time because at the end of the class, we all had to fight. Whatever your skills were or weren't, you were going to get it sharp, all right? If you didn't like the fight or you was a punk, you was going to get called out on that, all right? If you had a problem with another student in the facility, that was not going to have a very long shelf life. You and that individual were going to have to straighten that problem out. And after it was straightened out, he didn't want to hear it no more. He did advise newer students who had beef or gripes with other students, before they jump into that mix over there, make sure they get some tools up under their belt, because he didn't have a problem with leaving your butt in that ring until you said uncle. This stopped a lot of backbiting and sowing discord among brethren and within the schools. This was a way to go ahead and keep all that mess out of it. If you were a man, then you were required to behave like one. If you were a teenager, then hey, you know what? Then you had to learn and find out what type of man that you want to become. All right. Now, as far as Professor Pugh, some of his more renowned people that he trained on the circuit was William Oliver, Claude Battle. They also would interchange. Super Cooper also would interchange with Grandmaster. Soak Little John. What his name is? Hawk Frazier, Cobra Frazier, the twins. All these people used to not cross-train with one another, but work out with one another. Yes, they may have worked and they may have came from different arts, but they had a respect for the martial arts and respect for the chain of command. And without that respect of the chain of command, then we can't go anywhere. All right. Without that respect of the structure and the integrity of whatever discipline that we study in, we can't go nowhere. All we'll have is a bunch of renegades and wannabes. Johnny Ringo is Grandmaster Pugh's nephew. When we were in our youth, I believe it was him and his sister that wound up joining the class. One of the things that you didn't want to do in the class was call yourself liking somebody or choosing your girlfriend. He wasn't having that. You didn't come there for a girlfriend. You came there to learn the martial arts. You came there to learn how to be a man. You came there to learn about womanhood. You came there to learn about responsibilities and taking care of those responsibilities. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, definitely. And my last question is that Professor Pugh, I know he was a Sanuces student, and then he took Shotokan under Grandmaster Cofield, and then he basically blended the two. And then
they were never blended. They were never blended.
Oh, they were taught separately.
They were always taught separately.
Okay. They was taught separately. Okay. Yeah, that definitely answered my question. That was just something I wanted to know because I figured, with this radio show, I wanted to, a lot of the greats, from the past. You know, I just want to use this opportunity, you know, to give a shout out to those great masters from the past that may not necessarily, people may not know or remember or even get a chance to talk about often. But yeah, that was it.
He was not renowned. He was well known in the martial arts world, but not on the international world. Mm-hmm. It's like some of the masters who came through Doc. After they got to him, and then they moved on to they never mentioned Doc when they got to Hollywood or to Las Vegas or to West Bubblefuck.
Mm. So did Professor Pugh, did he ever mention Doc? Was he one of the masters that mentioned Doc?
Yes, sir. He was instrumental in me being able to go and train with Dr. Powell. One of the last words he had said to me was, "Don't embarrass him when I go to make that transition or make that changeover," because Dr. Powell ran a school and he ran a self-defense club. Professor Pugh started out teaching self-defense under a club setting. It was known as Tompkins Self-Defense Club. Later on, it evolved to the EP system. The difference between a self-defense club and a martial arts system is that the self-defense club allows you to there aren't really any stringent rules. You come in, you mix and mingle, and you go on home. All right. When you go to studying a discipline or a rule, now there are protocols and points that must be adhered to. The names of what it is that you're doing, the categories that they come out, what is the individual's GPA grade point average in each one of those subjects? Is that individual aspiring to teach? Is that individual teacher material, or is they just one of those nothing muffins? That they might be a good student, but outside of that, you wouldn't want to call him coaching nobody in nothing or giving them any directions in anything. And we as martial arts instructors have to recognize that quality within a person. Sometimes it can be put there, and sometimes it just ain't there. But that definitely answered my question, Grandmaster. So I'm not, so whenever you're ready to go into your, definitely, that definitely answered my question. Okay, we were speaking before about focus being beyond touch, and you were asking me to explain that a bit more. So I'm going to use two of the strikes within the repertoire itself. That'll be Cobra Knuckle and Reverse Cobra Knuckle. The integrity of this strike is a cut. That this strike can be used to cut any part of the body that you put it on. The only thing that stops it from cutting is you not applying the body weight and the speed that goes along with it.
Grandmaster.
Yes, sir.
When Doc created Cobra Knuckle or Cobra Strike, what did he say the difference in that and pseudo strike is?
Oh, yes. The difference between the Cobra Strike and the Shuto Strike, the Shuto Strike would be known is clarified as a big arm movement. All right, it's a chop. It doesn't break. Whereas the Cobra Strike, it breaks or cuts. When you look at King Cobra Snake and he raised his head up, that is the structure of the Cobra Strike. That can be done with the knife edge of the hand. It also can be done with the palm heel of the hand. And the last installment of that was the Cobra Knuckle itself. Now, the target for Cobra Knuckle is the mass area, the carotid triangle. You got the eye. You have you could do this. You could do hell across the chest plate and still get it to open that skin up.
But Grandmaster, in fact, one day when we first was learning Cobra Strike, our dinner was a temple. And we had this brother that was a boxer, and he was following jazz, and I was following Cobra Knuckle.
Mm-hmm.
And I threw a cobra knuckle at him, and he went to try to bar him, and we led the way. And I caught him, and I snapped the cobra knuckle and opened up to that space in between the lip and the nose. And he bled for like a half an hour.
Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir.
It tears the skin.
Yes, sir. So that's the other thing about this intellectual creation. We owe this man homage in him giving us strikes that were never taught in any martial arts system whatsoever. You know this the striking chart that you see in a lot of karate schools. And they have on the bottom of it, it's got pictures of different parts of the body: the elbow, the fist, the ball of the foot, the heel, and the finger, the spear. Okay. On that, it also describes which one of those strikes you use on the human anatomy, what you get from it. But it does not say how you use the strike. So thanks to that person who freed us from that lockdown, from that being rigid mentality, to see, well, okay, learning different strikes and going different ways, and then being able to think of the strike and use the strike as well. This is all a part of this structure, this intellectual creation. We have a lot of remedial studies to do on the master's level as well as on the level of the novice and the neophyte. Getting off the line and then knowing whether or not if you in range to go ahead and make this thing work. All right? Heel to toe and toe to toe. Again, this is what the system is based upon. Every time we try to explain this with something else, now here comes the confusion. The claw strike, it was introduced to the repertoire in the late 90s. All right? Modified horse and the claw strike were introduced together so that you could still get the talent effect of a claw, whether it was raking or grasping something. You'd even go into ripping and stripping, from ripping and stripping to poise in hand. But again, our familiarity with the material is paramount. Our ability to be able to use the material and develop a teaching plan. If we just try to do the teaching without reviewing material, then we're teaching from what we remember as opposed to what we know. So because I heard Professor saying earlier that he don't like to view the material. Well, we both agree in that, because if we study the material, then we ain't got nothing to do. Now you got sleepless nights coming, for how long they may be, a week, 2 weeks, or whatever have you. So, but at least if you have some place to go ahead and put that material out to, then okay, well, you can see the results of that study and the students progressing, coming along in that. They're able to do the strikes as you call them out. They don't have to ask you, well, what is that, or what does that look like, or what does this move do? They already know, because it's a part of their daily regimen in learning the system. So that means that they have to study cobra strike, cobra wipe, reverse cobra knuckle, draping for 10 weeks instead of 6 weeks, then 10 weeks it has to be. This way we don't make a mockery of this intellectual creation. That's what makes this intellectual creation able to stand on its own, the fact that it has its own material content. You can throw reverse cobra knuckle at a person and they think that you miss, but in actuality, by the time you bring that fist back, you can cut across any part of that body that you want. Reverse cobra knuckle to the armpit is a paralyzing strike. Cobra knuckle to the chest plate or sternum You're locked in that place again. Cobra knuckle to the abdomen. Cobra knuckle to the belly button. All these strikes have a physiological response on the human body. Your development of that tool will determine how well you're able to use that tool and the results that you get from it. He said to us that all these moves are dangerous. All of these moves can destroy. But if you have not worked with the tools that I gave you and the exercises I told you to do, then you will not be able to do anything with the tools, nor will you be able to do the work. Think of reach for the sky. Reach for the sky and shin kick. Reach for the sky, forward foot sweep.
Grandmaster, you said reach for the sky, shin kick.
Yes.
Can you tell the audience what is reach for the sky?
Reach for the sky is one of the versions of rising block in the sanuces repertoire. It is the equivalent of you reaching your hand up for something that may be coming directly around at you. All right? That's for a hook punch. For a straight punch, you have to modify it as if you were raising your elbow up to wipe your head or wipe the back of your head in that manner. The repertoire as a whole, we need to know every strike that's given to you, and then how to use the strike. Once you have been given the core movement and you've developed the strike, then you'll basically be able to do the movements in any combination that you like, to the point where there may be techniques that are toe-to-toe that you may find out later on that it can be done toe-to-toe and heel-to-toe. There are some techniques that are just heel-to-toe that cannot be done toe-to-toe or without some risk.
Can you give one example of a technique that can be done heel-to-toe but can't be done toe-to-toe?
Okay. Let's say forearm punch. Forearm punch can be done heel to toe. When it's done toe to toe, you definitely have to have it down, have your A game when you're trying to use it. Heel to toe, you've got your right arm, let's say, going over the right shoulder of the attacker, or across the neck and shoulder of the attacker. Whereas if you try to do that same motion toe-to-toe, all right, you've got that person's free limbs in front of you, and you need to know the space and the angle that it has to happen on, or you'll be able to get to the space and the angle to make that happen on.
Grandmaster, you said that there are moves that cannot be done toe-to-toe. It only can be done heel-to-toe.
That's correct, sir.
So can you give the audience an example of something that can't be done toe-to-toe? Or would you like me to?
Go ahead, Professor.
You have Jiu-Jitsu arm roll number 1 that can't be done toe-to-toe.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to do Jiu-Jitsu arm roll number 1, you have to be elbow to elbow. So when you make that circular motion, you lock the two elbows in. Now, if you toe-to-toe, you're too far up from the elbow. And when you make the turn, the arm will slip out because the elbows would lock the arm in.
So you say when it locks the arm in, does it lock the arm in against your body, or does it lock the arm in within the bicep and forearm?
When you go elbow to elbow, knowing how the body naturally moves, your elbow is like a vice sticks into his elbow. That means that when you make that motion as if you're wiping the side of your pants off, the arm sticks into the elbow. But if you go toe to toe, that means you at the wrist or the forearm, and there's no place for the arm to lock. When you make that circular motion, your arm will slip out.
Okay.
So it can't be done toe to toe.
So what about
if you want to do a popping the rotator cuff, that has to be done heel to toe, because again, you're too far up to do it toe to toe, and you lose the body weight and effectiveness.
And so what about head roll?
That's also another application that's done heel to toe, because you have to be close enough, because your arm is bent when you go around the head roll, and you're too far away. When you bend the arm, you can't get to the neck in order to roll the head. So now it has to be done heel to toe, because heel to toe puts you at the elbow.
So what about hanging flesh?
Hanging flesh, if you may be able to try it at toe to toe, but you lose the effectiveness because you lose the body weight at toe to toe. So now you're reaching where at heel to toe you're grabbing the flesh.
So let's say fan block, sword arm, spear hand, armpit, hanging flesh, tricep. That's all heel to toe.
Say that again?
Fan block, sword arm, spear hand, armpit, hanging flesh, tricep, to the tricep.
Yes, that can be done toe to toe.
Fan block, sword arm, head roll, reverse cobra knuckle, forearm punch.
Okay, the first part is done toe to toe, but with time you get the head roll, now you got to slide up to heel to toe in order to be within range. So the rest of it is done heel to toe.
So a lot of time has to be spent on clarifying this heel to toe and toe to toe.
Absolutely, because heel to toe and toe to toe, it's like 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 divided into 4 and 16 is 4. And you say, well, why I go through this stuff, man? This stuff is just time consuming, man, and can't I make it easier? But no, because that sets the foundation for what else you got to do. So the same thing with toe to toe and heel to toe. There's things that you can do toe to toe that you can't do heel to toe. Then there's things you can do heel to toe and toe to toe.
So what about bow and arrow pin and reverse underarm wrist throw?
Okay. Now, here it go again. Now you say, okay, if you do bow and arrow pin at heel to toe, remember now, the relationship to you to the arm is at the elbow. So, but in order to do bow and arrow pin, you have to be at the wrist. So it's impossible to do falling out pins from the heel choker. Now you got to reach back. You got to reach back from the elbow back to the wrist in order to perform that particular move. So that move has to be done, originate at toe-to-toe.
So that would be toe-to-toe linear stepping or pyramid.
Well, you have to understand that pyramid, you got a lot of things that says in different disciplines you have front stands and side stands and cat stands and all these stances. Well, in this intellectuation you have pyramid, which is the initial position that you take as you perform your primary block. The initial stand that you take is pyramid. But so once you do the primary block, now you may change from pyramid to linear, or you may change from pyramid to a certain angle based upon what you're trying to do. Excuse me.
So basically, most students will come in with stepping straddle and then evolve it to this pyramid position.
Well, when we were at Self-Current Complete, he didn't want no stands and slippers. He said you move from wherever you at. Whatever position you at, that's the way position you move to. And as he evolved, it evolved into straddle, it evolved into then into pyramid.
Okay. So what about this arm stretch or going beyond?
Excuse me?
Arm stretch or going beyond.
Okay. When you hyperextend the arm, say you want to break the elbow, or say you want to set up for a jiu-jitsu head roll, and you want to turn the body with the arm parallel to the floor. Then this part of the process by how you get the arm straight, where there's no bend at the elbow.
Mm-hmm.
Professor, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Yeah. You talked about the evolution from self-defense complete to Sanuki. Actually, I have two different questions, but similar questions. I'll first start with Professor Rahman. How would you describe that evolution, that change that you've seen in Dr. Powell from self-defense complete to Sanuki's rule? What were some of the changes you saw in him as a martial artist, as a man, and just as his system? Like what? You know what I mean? What, can you describe to the audience what was that change like when he was evolving from self-defense complete?
In self-defense complete, he was a young man. He was, in his 20s. So, he was just earth-shattering. The things he did was just, you had your mouth open all the time. Also, self-defense complete is the time when you did most what we call universal. You learn shooter strike, you learn spare hand, you learn knife hand block, you learn all these things. You learn rise and block, cross body block, inside, outside, down block. You learn all the core moves that everybody do. You learn hip throw, reverse hip throw, all the things that any other person, any jiu-jitsu, judo person, or any aikido person, or any karate person. You learn what front kick was. You learn the difference between front kick and front front kick and front snap kick, what a wheel kick is, and, you know, inside lace and sweep, outside lace sweep, and, you know, all these different things that everybody learned. That came out of self-defense complete. Plus, a lot of the core moves that we do in Sanukas was started in self-defense complete.
So by the time you saw Sanukas, was rolled out, what was the difference in terms of what you saw in Sanukas versus when you both were younger men? What was the difference?
Well, okay. Sanukas became more precise. When it got from self-defense complete to Sanukas, it became more precise. Then you start seeing the difference between Sanukas and other stuff. Then you start seeing the difference between Jiu-Jitsu Te, Jiu-Jitsu Rule, Kumite Rule, all these other martial arts. You start seeing the difference because that's when the preciseness, that's when the uniqueness that we call Sanukas Rule started.
Now, Professor, let me stop you there. That's one thing I always hear a lot from a lot of masters, the preciseness, the uniqueness. But I need you to open that up a little bit. Like when you say preciseness, uniqueness, like what do you mean by that?
Oh, okay. It's like this. He say, when it's evolved to Sanukas Rule, he says things like, flow means movement, but he didn't say this means movement. He says flow means movement, timing, being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. Grandmaster Shem, when he's in the school, used to tell me all the time, Cheon or whatever I was at the time, where do you expect to get out of that move? Are you expect to be the person to fall right in front of you? Are you expect the person to fall away from you? What do you expect him to do? And that's the preciseness. In other words, you drop him, he's dropping right there in front of you. Well, you ain't got to look for him. His arm is right there in front of you. His leg, his shoulder, his head, whatever part you're attacking is right there in front of you.
Yes, sir.
If you phone, Grandma talked about Cobra Knuckle. All right? So, Shuto, you may put a bruise on the person. But Cobra Knuckle, you don't just bruise it, you ripping and you tearing. So now it's more precise. It's a more precise move. If you're not only injuring the skin, the face, or wherever you're attacking, but now you're ripping, you're tearing the skin. But now instead of them putting ice on it, now they need stitches.
Chief Professor, my question to you is,
yes, sir.
You know, out of my research of this system, Sanukas Rule, I've had a few interviews and I've touched on it a little bit, but what's been told to me is that, and I don't know if this is true, but what's been told to me is that within Sanukas Rule, there were evolutions in it. There was evolutions in Sanukas Rule to the point where some say, you know, you had the Sanukas that came in the 70s, then you had the Sanukas that went into the eye-to-eye, then you had the Sanukas when he was, when he was getting older, then you had the Sanukas when he was sitting in the wheelchair. Can you, first of all, is there any validity to that statement? And then if there is, what was the difference, and can you name and kind of give us a time frame when the different evolutions of Sanukas Rule, of what that is?
Well, from my perspective, it's always been a waste not, want not discipline. All right? In the 30s, let's say, the techniques that you were doing then were just as straight to the point as they were now, or should we say Sanuces in its fourth generation. The techniques from the first generation had all got built around the founder himself, not so much as, okay, when I say the founder himself, it being that how his body was moving and what he knew about the movement of the human body. It was paramount that we as students study human movement if we were going to master this kinesiology on any level, all right? When he was doing a favor for a friend, and in the process of doing a favor for a friend, he wound up taking a bullet in his leg. Okay. Does his body still move the same way it did, or does he have to readjust it before he makes that movement? Yes, he has to readjust it before he makes that movement. But now the movement is becoming a tailored move that you can come in the seventh or the fifth or the third generation, and that movement is still a core movement of the system. Everyone may not do it as the root movement, but they all have exposure to the move. That is the perpetuation of the system. That is the perpetuation of that knowledge. When we as black martial artists first started out teaching martial arts, we started out as self-defense instructors. Very few, if any, started out calling themselves teaching a karate system. After they got their wings or their sea legs or got acclimated in what they were doing, because Doc taught V-Jitsu and V-Arnis in self-defense complete. By the time he got ready for Sanuces, he was no longer teaching V-Arnis or V-Jitsu or V-Jitsu Te. He was just teaching Sanuces, gathering that knowledge. Then, because it's a theory right now, and you've got to make that theoretical application that you see in your mind a fact, a hard fact. Then you've got to be able to transfer that knowledge or that skill to the next person according to how their body works, or to explain it on the level that they can understand it so they can make that technique work for them. Because everyone that's going to come in and train with you, they're not all going to learn the same amount of knowledge. Yes, they are going to learn the subject, but they're all going to peak at different points, because the mind is like a sponge. It absorbs much more than it holds. Dr. Powell's, yes.
Doctor, that's a deep statement you just said.
Dr. Powell's desire to create a martial arts system for the modern-day man and woman is still in effect, okay? So how can you have a mindset of creating something for the modern-day man and woman and then call yourself drawing on something that's not even terms or applications that are not relevant to the society or the environment that you live in? We live in the concrete jungle. So the techniques that are created for this environment are not as they would be for an urban setting or a country setting. You don't, a whole different mindset. All right, evolving. The system had to evolve. It evolved from self-defense complete to Sanuces, to Sanuces Ru, to Sanuces Ru eye to eye, from Sanuces Ru eye to eye to Sanuces Ru eye to eye, heart to heart, to the wall and back. These are phases within his intellectual creation that we are supposed to know and be able to teach from. All right? And if we are not physically and mentally capable of doing that, then, okay, let's say, you can't physically do it. But if you have the knowledge, then you should be able to pass that knowledge on to someone that have a desire to learn that discipline. And if
Wait,
they can't,
Master, not to cut you up, but I'm writing this down. The first one you said was Sanuces Ru. What's after Sanuces Ru?
What is
you
that?
had self-defense complete. Then you had
self-defense complete. Then you had Sanukus rule.
Yes. Then you have Sanukus rule eye to eye. Then you have Sanukus rule eye to eye.
All right.
Then you have Sanukus rule eye to eye, heart to heart, to the wall and back.
So it was actually that long word out. It was eye to eye, heart to heart, to the wall and back.
Yes, sir. To the wall and back is a take no prisoners mentality.
See, as he went, a lot of people stopped at eye to eye, heart to heart. But when he put the cherry on the top, he said, yes, but what happened if someone takes you to the ultimate?
Yes, sir.
Can you go to the ultimate and come back?
And that's to the wall. Damn, this is deep, man. Wow, man, this show is off the hook, man. This show should be ringing with callers. This is deep. So he had Sanukus rule. He had eye to eye. He had eye to eye, heart to heart. Then he had the last one was to the wall and back.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So that's the cherry on the top. He's saying, if you're in a situation where you feel that you're not going to survive, that you're going to make the ultimate sacrifice, can you go there and come back and feel comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so that's what to the wall and back means.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it to the
wow.
brink and be able to come back from it.
So what did eye to eye mean? What did eye to eye mean? With the one.
All right. Okay. When he brought eye to eye, right?
That's the one when he said, when you see us up 2:00 in the morning, what do you think?
When he brought eye to eye, right? This is what he did. He would ask two people kneel on one knee.
Yes, sir.
There was one knee on the ground, one knee is up. And the other person, the opposite knee is down, upside is up. He put your hand on your up knee, and you put your hand on his up knee, and you look eye to eye.
Excuse me, sir, you forgot that we still had that hand on the heart, on the opposite person's heart.
Yeah, then that evolved. It evolved to the heart to heart. You know, so it's saying that, okay, we deal with each other on a one-to-one basis, man to man. You're a man, I'm a man. So that was that eye to eye. Eye to eye. Then he took it up another level and said, okay, not only are we dealing with each other as men to men, but the feeling that we're put into it. I'm giving you my all, and you give me your all. So that's the heart to heart. Where now,
yes, sir.
I'm not short-changing you, and you're not short-changing me. I'm bringing my all, you bring your all. I'm showing my concern, and you showing your concern. So then it went up another level. Then it went to the last level when, okay, I'll take it to the max. You know what I mean? Your boy say, man, I take it to the wall, man. You know, don't mean nothing to me. Well, then that's the last level, man. I take it to the others. Don't mean to me, man.
Yes, sir. Marching through the walls.
Wow. So let me ask you, Master Ziston. So when he said eye to eye, was that like was that actually a transition in the Sanukus system, or was that just a mentality, or was that just a phrase?
No, that was a transition.
Well, nothing he said was a phrase. Everything he said was based upon the intellectual creation. In other words, he was at a certain level, he was using a certain technique, and just saying the technique is the application of what he said.
So what was the distinct difference between the system at eye-to-eye level versus the system at heart-to-heart level?
Okay. If you're at a eye-to-eye, heart-to-heart level, and you needed to get to that wall and get back, there shouldn't be nothing to impede you from getting to that wall and back. Nothing and no one. Can I make that any plainer? There exists within every martial discipline what is considered as clandestine teaching. Stuff that you can only get breast to breast and chest to chest. Now, yes, your fellow classmates may be aware of it, but unless you make the same sacrifices they have, then you probably will never experience it. It's like a person asked the question, say, well, what would happen if two sanuces practitioners got into a fight? That could be the worst thing in the world. See, because they both study from the same source. So now it'll come down to not the size of the dog, but the size of the fight in the dog. And what are you willing to go to the wall and back to get home? And if you are not, then it is what it is. No one can teach you what they don't know. In spite of all the fluff and all of the other good stuff. That, hey, you know what? When I was your age, young man, them guys with them Christmas tree belts on, them was the last individuals that you wanted to say something to. Them was the last individuals that you wanted to be on their bad side. Now they're a joke. We studying the discipline, then we should be able to communicate to other practitioners that study that same discipline about the intellectual creation or nuances that we might not have seen before, or in reviewing the material and its content. Say, excuse me, sir, such and such and such. We're having this problem with this core movement. What can we do to correct it? What are we not seeing in that? Well, that's what the 15 Grandmasters was for us to come up with solutions to problems that the student or the body or the membership has within the study of this intellectual creation. This ain't about nothing else but martial arts. Nothing else but martial arts. It's capable and competent enough to stand on its own if we learn the material and do the material. Even if you don't know nothing but two moves, okay? And that's get that green stuff and poke him in the eye. Hey, it is what it is.
So, Grandmaster, let me ask you. So, basically, from self-defense complete to sanuces rule, eye to eye, heart to heart, to the wall and back, basically, as you going up with these, basically, these are all the evolutions of Dot, and by the time you got to the wall and back, that was the most potent of the evolution of sanuces.
Oh, without a doubt, because you got techniques in the wall and back. Wake him up to knock him out.
Oh man, that's heavy, man. Oh man,
just always wake him up and knock him up and wake him up. So they don't just mean that.
Yo, he just woke me up with that comment.
Okay, it's like
Grandmaster. Now let me tell you what it means. But give him an application.
Okay, or give you.
No, we only got 4 minutes left. We only got 4 minutes. I told you, these shows always get good at the end.
No, I won't be able to do it. I'll just have to save it for you for the next time then.
Yeah, save it for the next time, no doubt. They tune in next time. Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
To the listening audience, in the past, remember, those who foolishly sought power by riding the back of the tiger ended up inside. Eye to eye, heart to heart, to the wall and back.
Us.